And what is your message to Liberals who are uncomfortable with the idea of someone like Ms. Gladue, who's been open about her socially conservative views, joining your caucus?
Well, there's two things, but this is, you laugh. You're not laughing. Your colleagues are laughing.
Just yesterday, we told you this would happen. Mark Carney's push for a majority is already creating cracks within his own base after bringing in an ideologically opposite MP like Marilyn Gladue. Now even the CBC is grilling Liberals on why they would make a move like this. And the real story here isn't the decision itself. It's that they're doing it right out in the open, while their own supporters and online allies are starting to turn. Let's take a look.
Well, and on that note, this is someone who just weeks ago backed a petition when she was a conservative saying floor crossers should have to submit to immediate by-elections. She told her local newspaper, The Independent, quote, "If they're voting you in under one platform, for you to switch for whatever reasons just seems to me to not be representing what you're supposed to be there to represent." That article is dated January 11th, less than 3 months ago. Should she go to a by-election, do you think?
Look, she's free to make the choice that she did. She made that choice. Our system provides for this. We've seen in the past, in my first term after 2015, Leona Alice-Lev crossed the floor to the Conservatives, and you didn't hear these type of accusations and complaints and things that you're hearing now. And it's the same thing we heard when the previous members crossed the floor. So none of this rhetoric we're hearing from the other side comes as any surprise.
Well, in this case, it's not so much rhetoric from the other side. It's a quote from her saying that by-election should be the case and that this hurts public trust, basically. So I wonder if you can see how that...
Fair enough.
Yeah. So what would you say to voters about that?
Find me a member of their caucus right now who has said anything different than what their leader says. She was a member of their caucus at that time, so it doesn't surprise me. Look, Marilyn, I'm sure she'll be happy to chat with you, in the days to come, and you can ask her these questions. But I don't think you'd read anything into that at all.
It's not just her views on floor crossings. I'm curious, you talk about, we've heard a lot about the size of the Liberal tent today as she is brought in. She previously had to apologize for comments she made during the pandemic where she compared COVID to polio. She supported the Freedom Convoy. She criticized the Liberals' use of the Emergency Act. Doesn't that put her a bit out of step with the rest of your caucus, James Maloney?
Look, we have a big caucus, got bigger today by one, and we have lots of different views on lots of different subjects. So, and that's what makes our caucus function so well, quite frankly. You have different views. I mean, my opinions aren't held by every one of my colleagues in the Liberal caucus, and I don't share all of their opinions either. So we welcome different perspectives and we welcome different views. But at the end of the day, we emerge with a consensus, and that consensus is what forms our policy and what drives this government. And Marilyn understands that. She's had conversations with the Prime Minister leading up to the announcement today, and I don't foresee any problem going forward with her not only supporting but wholeheartedly endorsing what the government's doing. This is a decision she made. She obviously thought about these things before the announcement was made today.
I guess there's a question, though, too, about where the Liberals stand. She had previously voted to ban sex-selective abortions. Now, under Justin Trudeau, all new Liberal MPs had to vote to support abortion access. Has that policy changed under Mark Carney?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's almost like the Conservatives had accidental surgery to take out a tumor from their caucus, and it was transplanted over into the Liberal caucus. That's what this feels like. It really does. And now the Liberals are left with these questions. Here's the problem. When all the Liberals do is demonize how people vote and demonize how people talk and demonize views and all of this stuff, when something like this happens, it comes back to bite them. Oh, well, those weren't her views. Those were the views of somebody else. Isn't that actually very anti-feminist? Because are you really saying that Marilyn Gladu is not a strong, independent woman? She doesn't have the capability to have views herself. She has to submit to a man in order to actually have these views. Is that what you're trying to say, liberals? Like, this is where it's getting pretty problematic for these people. And to send grumpy Mr. James Maloney on to actually talk to the CBC about this, I'm not sure this was the best idea for the liberals. He's not exactly Mr. Communication. He seems annoyed that he has to be there in the first place. And CBC isn't buying what he's selling.
This party has stood by, the Liberal Party is the party of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That hasn't changed. It will never change.
But I'm trying to ask new MPs.
I know, I understand. And Marilyn Gladu is now a member of this caucus, and she will support that view and continue to support that view. So I don't have any concerns in that respect either.
Okay, I do want to be crystal clear here, because this is an emotionally charged subject. You're saying that if anything that comes to abortion, Marilyn Gladu and anyone else who would join the Liberal ranks has to be supportive of abortion access, maintaining or expanding it.
Well, I'll say it again. The Liberal Party is the party of the Charter. When it comes to a woman's right to choose, time and time again, it's no secret where our party stands. It's no secret where I stand. So I don't think there's any misunderstanding here whatsoever.
Well, I'm really not trying to belabor this. I really am trying to. I hear your point. You're about the Charter, but I'm saying the rules for MPs are then that they have to support this.
I am a member of the Liberal Party. She is a member of the Liberal Party. We are a party of the Charter. We support a woman's right to choose. I don't know how much more clear I can be than that.
Okay. Your party also brought NDP MP Laurie Idlout on board. You know that Dolly Begum, former NDP MPP, provincially in Ontario, running for you right now in Scarborough Southwest. There are Liberals out there today on social media who are questioning just how big the tent is getting. If at some point the Liberal Party's values get a little bit diluted, what would you say to folks about that?
I don't know who said what, but as the caucus chair and as a member of this caucus for 10 plus years now, the bigger the tent, the better. The more ideas we have to exchange, the better outcomes you have. So whether it's Marilyn or other recent additions to the caucus, or what I hope to be new additions to the caucus on Monday, and we'll find out Monday evening, I think that's all a very positive thing.
So this is James Maloney completely contradicting what he just said. Because CBC is saying, well, she had all these previous views and blah, 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 blah. And he says, oh, well, we have disagreements all the time and not everybody disagrees with or agrees with me. And I disagree with my colleagues. That's fine. That's what we're all about. Okay, what about abortion? Well, we're the party of the Charter. You can't disagree with that. This is going to be the problem, folks. What happens? And she even goes on to say, there's people online that are having problems with this. Yes, they are. They 100% are. Who? Well, you won't be surprised to. Ladies and gentlemen, Rachel Gilmore, yesterday, right after news broke, when a convoy supporting Conservative MP feels at home in the Liberal Party, what does that say about the party? This is a really odd one. Goes on to repost Supriya Dwivedi. Yes, a tent so big that even conspiracy theorists and pro-conversion therapy pushers are welcome. Repost another. LMAO, I forgot about her wanting to reopen abortion debate. 10 out of 10, no notes, etc. This is what Mark Carney is going to have problems with. When you take somebody with the ideology of Marilyn Gladu, which is socially conservative, and then you transplant that into the far left Liberal Party, it doesn't really jive. And there's going to be problems with the perception of the Liberal Party, what they actually are, what they actually stand for. And as they fall over themselves trying to put a, rectangular square peg in a completely misshaped hole, I don't even know what it is, they're going to be falling over themselves trying to do that. And it's going to be awkward as can be, as you see. So that's just the first part. CBC wasn't done.
Another power panelist, Supriya Dwivedi, has been quite vocal on social media today, on Twitter, with her concern about this move, because she's looking at some of Ms. Gladu's more socially conservative views, be they around abortion, comments, about not supporting the ban on conversion therapy, and questioning what the Liberal Party under Mark Carney stands for. How do you feel about this addition to the Liberal fold?
Yeah, I mean, there were certainly some raised eyebrows today, and there was a lot of chatter amongst, liberal circles and even all over social media. And I think there's a couple of things that I considered as a takeaway. I mean, obviously, the liberals are not just defending their tent right now; they're expanding it. And I think that there's an argument to be made that modern governments survive volatility by expansion, by kind of stretching those traditional party lines. But the problem with expanding the tent is that you also have to manage who's in it and the values that come into it. And so some of, Marilyn Gladu's more questionable views on things like abortion, conversion therapy, even vaccines, the fact that even she voted against cannabis 10 years ago. I think that those are things that the party will find to be challenging as we move forward. I think they're betting that voters are less ideological right now, that they're focused more on stability and outcomes and that cohesion and unity that will come with a majority government, especially when faced with the constant instigation and distraction of Trump. But you still have to be who you are. You're still going to, at some point, have to present yourself, as a party to voters, and those values will matter, and the people inside it will matter. So I think the question that I'm left with, is Marilyn Gladu prepared to stand behind the non-negotiable party rule to vote for things like pro-choice and women's reproductive rights?
Yeah, and we did have James Maloney, Liberal Caucus chair, on earlier, Sherelle, and he was like, listen, there's no question, if you're a member of our party, this is what we stand for. So I guess the question becomes, like, you can sort of understand in the abstract, oh, this is a real stretch for the Liberals, but where could the rubber hit the road here? Like, how tricky is this really for them?
Yeah, I do think it comes down to what when you say here's what the party stands for. They say it's a big tent. But it's what is the price of admission into that tent? Is it simply a desire to win, a desire to have power, desire to form a majority? Is it a desire to build, desire to focus on economics? And then at what point do you say, yeah, but you have to follow the party line? Because everybody, to some degree, is going to have to follow the party line. To Ms. Gladu's, I don't know if you want to call it credit, she voted against that bill that was, to ban conversion therapy. But it's confusing, because at the same time, then she also put out a statement saying that she was vehemently opposed to the practice. So there are some, so it's hard to figure out, especially for her, on some stances, where she exactly stands. She has taken a very much more of a libertarian stance, especially in the last few years, once kind of with the pandemic. She formed a civil liberties caucus that was at the time thought to be a vehicle to remove the party leader at the time, Erin O'Toole. All of these things. So you have to at some point you have to be, as Amanda was saying, not just as a party you have to be what you are, but as a person you have to be what you are. And people are going to be looking for authenticity. So if you're going to say that the voters of my riding, this used to be a bellwether riding, but before that, up until I was elected 4 times, and then they've gone and they've voted for me. So who are you that you were presenting to the voters to now be standing for? And that, I think, is where the rubber's going to hit the road, because you can't say, a few weeks ago, absolutely anybody who crosses the floor should face the voters, to then immediately turn around and do the same thing.
Well, except that is what is happening.
This is the problem, and they can't get out of this. When you take somebody like Marilyn Gladu, with the views that she is known for, it doesn't fit. Not only does it not fit, it's the complete opposite of what the Liberal Party allegedly stands for. And this is where it really signals the alarm bells as to, okay, so what is Mark Carney really after? We all know. But to the swing voters and the people that think that Mark Carney is just some nice old man, that is the genius economist and he's here to save Canada, they're going to start questioning this as well. Well, why is he doing this? If he's just here to build Canada strong, he's trying to work with everybody, why is he doing this? And they start asking the real question that we all know the answer to. Is this just a lust for power? That's the problem, right? And Mark Carney was asked about this as well.
Hello, Prime Minister. Mackenzie Gray with Global News. Outside of abortion, Ms. Gladue is also pro-convoy. She supported the truck, something you are very publicly against. She's a vaccine skeptic. She promoted the idea of using hydrochloroquine instead of vaccines. She was also so against legalized marijuana, she stood up and read a poem in the House of Commons. So I'm wondering if Ms. Gladue's views represent the views of the Liberal Party under your leadership.
Well, thank you for your question. We've ran on a clear platform, clear values, defending the Charters of Rights and Freedoms, defending the right of women to choose, defending same-sex marriage, anti-conversion therapy, to save you asking that question. These are serious points. And people who are joining the Liberal Party at this critical time and supporting us, when I say people, I mean MPs, recognize those clear policy positions, those values. That's where we will go. That's what we will support. That's what we will advance.
And what is your message to Liberals who are uncomfortable with the idea of someone like Ms. Gladue, who's been open about her socially conservative views, joining your caucus?
Well, there's two things. One is we're fortunate to have somebody who has long experience in business, long experience. It brings great managerial and technical expertise. I mean, we're actually here at a project that requires that level of expertise. I mean, she's not going to run this project, but this is. You laugh. You're not laughing. Your colleagues are laughing. Just to be clear, Ms. Burke is not laughing. But you need a mix of expertise in government. You don't need a government of just lawyers. It's good to have some lawyers. You don't need a government of just people who've been politicians. You need government. It's good to have doctors in your government. It's good to have people who've been engineers. It's good to have people who've worked in non-governmental organizations, who've worked in philanthropies, been teachers, been nurses, others.
This is funny just watching Mark Carney ramble on and to have the press gallery laughing at him over him doing it. He's turning himself into a pretzel, trying to justify the fact that Marilyn Gladue, who is ideologically opposite, is now in the Liberal Party. Just so he can get his majority. That's it. And the press gallery is laughing at him because of how he's trying to justify this. And obviously, people aren't buying it, folks. You have liberal commentators that are online posting that this is crazy. We've already shown you some of that. You have liberal influencers that are like, what is going on? And this is the issue, because when you have people that they have been making fun of and demonizing, all of a sudden they are now in the Liberal Party just because Mark Carney wants a higher seat count. It presents a problem. How do you then go, oh, okay, that person that I was deriding, that person that I was making fun of, that person who I was demonizing and telling everyone is a far right-wing conspiracy theorist, now they're on my team. I have to be complimentary of them, and the hypocrisy is just palpable. It's insane. And this is going to be the problem. Now that cancer is over in the Liberal Party. And these questions came to Mark Carney at his announcement. This wasn't anything that the Conservatives did. Nobody even cares what his announcement was at his press conference this morning, because they are now in a self-detonated mini scandal as a result of a floor crosser coming over. And the more the mainstream media melts down about this, the more the CBC melts down about this, and the more the Liberals melt down about this over online, the more people are going to see the Liberal Party for exactly what it is, exactly what we all have been seeing them for the last 11 years. A party that is interested in one thing and one thing only: more power. Well, a smart lady, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, said to Mr. Vader. Actually, she said it to Grand Moff Tarkin. She said, "The more you tighten your grip, the more galaxies will slip through your fingers." And I think that's exactly what we're about to see.